What message do you want to deliver to the Jews of Southern California?
The message I wanted to deliver to the Jews of Southern California is no one is going to save you. You are going to have to save yourselves. You're going to have to fight. Israel is not going to fight for you. Particularly the diaspora, Jewish diaspora, has been such a failure of historic proportions in its abdication of its role in the defense of the tiny Jewish state. So my advice to Jews of Southern California is get involved, get into the fight. If not for you, then for your children and your children's children.
What kind of organization would you say get involved? What would you encourage a person to do?
I would encourage them to read atlasshrugs.com every day. I would encourage them to support my ad campaigns, my pro-Israel ad campaigns in Washington, D.C., in Seattle, in San Francisco, in Miami, in Chicago, in New York, and to get involved in the fight. It's really not that hard. There's so much to do. Get involved in your own communities. I mean, in terms of, if you see, for example, the taqiyya, which of course under Islam, taqiyya is a religious imperative that commands Muslims to deceive in order to advance Islam. This interfaith dialogue, which only goes one way. I strongly recommend, if your synagogue is twinning with a mosque, look into that mosque. Are they tied to the Muslim Brotherhood? Are there terror links? Speak up. Get involved. Stand up. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to die on your knees.
How do you feel about the Southern Californians who brought you here to awaken the crowd?
I am enormously honored to be here in Southern California, invited by the Ramona Tea Party. What a group of patriots. What a great group. And Oved Zucker. And the other groups, small affiliated groups that care deeply about this country, who care deeply about freedom, who care deeply about Israel, and want to, understand that there's a war, that we are involved in a war, understand that we are losing in the information battle space, and that they have to get involved. And so they worked, and it couldn't have been easy to bring me here because, anytime anyone brings me to speak, it's fraught with controversy. It's fraught with controversy by hostile invaders and Islamic supremacists and leftist lapdogs and Islamic apologists who are waging a jihad against, the truth.
Are there Muslims who are part of the movement?
There are former Muslims that are part of the movement. I think that many Muslims that would like to speak out, secular Muslims that would like to speak out, live in fear. Because they have to live in these communities. They live in these communities, and we have seen time and time again, Scott, for example, when the underwear bomber was being arraigned, there was a Muslim group protesting against him and protesting against the jihad that he was waging. And the very next day, it wasn't 24 hours, that not one but 3 different death fatwas were issued on the head of the Muslim organizing the rally against the jihad on that airplane above Detroit. That's when they wanted it detonated, so it would cause the most collateral damage. So, yes, they're afraid.
The Muslims are intimidated.
Unquestionably.
Like a mafia against them?
Like a fatwa against them. A fatwa is an Islamic ruling according to Sharia law. You cannot speak against Islam. You cannot speak against the Sharia. You will. Look, clearly we see in Muslim countries, we don't see Muslims prosecuted as much as we see non-Muslims prosecuted for blasphemy under the Sharia. It's the death penalty. They are sentenced to die. It's very serious.
How do you feel about this Malaysian plane reportage that there was no mention of Islam or jihad in even the considerations of the cargo?
I don't know how. I don't even know how. It takes a certain kind of really blind, deaf, and dumbness to say two pilots, both Muslims. We have seen time and time again the lone jihad syndrome, where it just kicks in. And when and who do we see repeatedly going on suicide missions? Muslims. How do you not consider it? No one's saying for sure, but that's where my money's on that. My money's on one of the pilots going jihad. There's no question. And taking a plane full of infidels with them. It's righteous, brother. It's
11
righteous.
years after 9/11, how close are we to breaking the taboo against looking at jihad as a motivation for Muslims around the world?
We're very far away from it. We were much closer in 2005. Look, I've been doing this work for a long time, and I can tell you that. But it's part of the problem is the political elites. You have Obama, who has scrubbed Islam and jihad from all counter-terrorism training materials. So he has, in effect, disarmed our law enforcement. That's what he's done. They've never even heard of any of this subject matter. They don't even know. Why do you think the Boston bombers, who were jihadists, and we were warned not just by one but by two foreign governments that these were radical fundamentalists who were a danger to society, and we did nothing. We were so busy, the NSA was so busy spying on every single American that they didn't spy on two jihadists. The one reason why we even have spying in this country, NSA and all of that nonsense, was because of the jihadic threat. And here we have a hot lead, and they didn't even surveil them. They didn't surveil the mosque, the radical mosque, the Boston mosque, that these jihadists were worshiping at. So that's why we're no closer. And you have a media who, even in Hollywood, when they do movies on terrorism, it's never Islamic terrorism. It's Serb. We all know that scourge of Serbian terrorism, or Russian terrorism. I mean, it's just silly, and it would be funny if it wasn't so deadly and scary.
You think his administration is infiltrated in some way?
Yes, in some way. I mean, look, we have Muslim Brotherhood operatives. We have, Mohammed El-Biari. He's a Muslim Brotherhood. You have Arif Ali Khan. Obama invited the Muslim Brotherhood to his speech in Egypt. Not 4 months into his presidency, the Muslim Brotherhood was banned. They're a supremacist group that seeks to impose the Sharia and Islam on the world. They were banned for decades in Egypt for a reason, okay? He invited them to his speech in Cairo. And Mubarak, who was president at the time, couldn't go to his speech, couldn't go to President Obama's speech in Cairo because the Muslim Brotherhood was there. So I think we're infiltrated? No, I think they are there. I think the Muslim Brotherhood is in the White House.
And affecting policy today?
Unquestionably. Why else would Obama have punished the people of Egypt when 33 million Egyptians took to the street and demanded and got the ouster of Muslim Brotherhood President Morsi? Obama punished the Egyptian people by withdrawing aid because they removed the Islamic yoke of tyranny.
What is that?
The Islamic yoke of tyranny is the Sharia, Islamic law.
So, what do you hope to leave here with accomplishing after your weekend in Southern California?
Well, I hope to reach more people than have heard of me or have not heard of me, and I really hope to those that have come to get educated that they get an education and that they leave with ideas, with initiatives, and with action plans on how to fight this scourge that's currently encroaching upon our freedoms in this country.
What is the AFID?
The AFDI is the American Freedom Defense Initiative. It's my organization that I co-founded with Robert Spencer, and it is dedicated to freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, individual rights, and equality for all before the law. That's what we do.
How can people get involved in that?
Well, all you need to do is always read Atlas Shrugs every day. That's atlasshrugs.com or PamelaGeller.com. You should subscribe. It's free. And you'll get news that the media refuses to cover. That's what I do. I cover the news that the media refuses to cover. You can subscribe every day. And of course on Facebook, our groups have thousands of members, and they all agitate and they all activate and they all share ideas on Facebook. So you should join the groups on Facebook as well. Stop Islamization of America and American Freedom Defense Initiative.
How about Stop Islamization of Europe?
And we have Stop Islamization of Nations as well, too.
SION.
SION, Zion, no pun intended.
Make a hashtag SION on
Yes,
your tweets.
yes, you should make a hashtag. And you should also like Pamela Geller. My Facebook page is very, very active. I think I have 65,000 followers there, but they're very active. It's a very good page. I learn from my own page. It's a very good source of information. Thank you very much, Scott.